Hello and welcome to Spalding Town. This layout is double O gauge. It's based on the town which my father took me to see a lot of the trains I saw in my youth, which is Spalding. For space reasons, the track plan for the layout, has been shortened a little bit in places, just to allow for fitting in what I wanted to on the baseboards I have. To build the full layout, I probably would have had to build twice the length that I'm currently at. The scenic section is currently at, let's see, there's 5 4-foot boards and a 2-foot board, so sorry, my maths is terrible, that's 22 foot. And then once the curves are put in either end to bring it back round to a fill yard at the back, it will total almost 26 foot. So obviously it's not a usual home size layout. It is built with the intention of eventually becoming exhibition worthy, but obviously that's going to be quite a way off from now, so I'm going to be documenting on these videos my progress of the layout. Up until recently, for the past several years, this layout has been a project that's been on and off with building the odd bit on the baseboards. I have one baseboard at a time, but now I've finally had a chance to bring it up into the loft and set the whole thing up together so all the baseboards are joined, and now I can move a bit faster with the progress, hopefully. So the layout itself will be built in the loft for the time being, with buildings and anything that can be removed temporarily from the layout being constructed elsewhere to save on having to come up here so much. Especially painting will be done outside for ventilation reasons. The loft itself is a bit difficult to move around because there's joists all over the place through the middle of the loft, so it's a case of crawling through each and every one. And obviously it's not heated. Sorry, it's heated from a storage heater, but there's no insulation in the joists on the top. If I show you, so that's obviously going to let in a lot of heat in the summer and a lot of cold in the winter. Just focus now on one of the projects I did yesterday. It was one of my Hornby sea cows, factory weathered, that I've had a bit more of a go at with weathering, just to add a bit more to what was already there. This is just to show you one of Hornby's factory weathered sea cows, and I've added a bit of rust in there. I still need to weather the inside and add some ballast to it, and then move on to the second one. Now this baseboard that I'm showing you at the moment is one that was worked on recently. A lot of the others are just track work at the moment, and one baseboard is still to be brought up into the loft and added to the layout. I'll just show you some of where the layout begins. If you can see the end of that baseboard, there's one more 2-foot board to go on the end there, which begins with a level crossing and then the track curves around. You can see 2 sidings on the front there. Those I will be covering with static grass, weeds, all sort of things, just to give them an overgrown feel. And then at the back there's the 2 main running lines which run through Spalding. Just here there will be a footbridge, which I shall probably adapt from the Ratio and Wills footbridge kit, as I think that's the one that looks most like the one that currently, well, not currently, so it was in Spalding during the period I'm modelling. I'm modelling early to mid 2000s, and obviously I will have the odd train from towards 2008, 2009, but that's about the furthest I'm going to try and go with it. Moving down the line, couple of wagons there which have been put aside for repair because couplings have been a bit broken. I'll just move those aside so you can see. This is the foot crossing at the end of the platforms for Spalding, which I've made from using household filler and then covered it with scale scenes tarmac printed off on a home printer, and then hand painted the white lines around the edges and put in the drawing in the fence where it was patched up so that people couldn't use it to access from a public footpath. I'll just take the camera off the tripod so I can move down the layout for you. One of the next things I am planning to work on is the platforms, which I've already begun with on this baseboard with the edging, which I've used a brick plasticard and used sewing thread to replicate the cables, which I've noticed in Spalding are hung on the edge of the platform. And then the ballast just needs weathering with the airbrush in the same way that this baseboard has been done. I apologise for the train that's in the way here. I've just been testing some of the drawings and the track work on the baseboard to see where it needs a bit of attention, and that's all almost ironed out now. I've just got that baseboard at the end there to wire up, and then I should be able to start getting some movement. And then hopefully over spring or February at the earliest, fingers crossed, I would like to get the curves added, that end of the layout and then that end of the layout, and I'm going to bring the baseboards, there should be a bit of leeway here just to bring them forward a bit, and I'm going to, behind the temporary back scenes there, those will be replaced, don't worry. I'm going to add about 4 tracks for a sort of mini fill yard. They're going to sort of start probably about here where the back scene will be, and then once the baseboard's pulled forward a bit there should be just enough room to pop those in there. And obviously these like I said, these back scenes are temporary. They're ones off a layout are somehow acquired and stripped for spares, and the back scenes are absolutely terrible, I do agree. So they will be replaced with proper fixed back scenes, which won't be just hardboard, they will be framed so they won't warp. This baseboard here is going to have platform all along it. I'm just going to pop the camera down and crawl through to the next area. There we are, and pick the camera up again. Don't know if you can see where I've faintly marked out where the platforms are going to go. They are very wide. This platform will be along here. That's going to be out to about here, which I've agreed didn't look very wide on the camera, but it will be almost to the back scene, which I do think is quite wide for a platform, but that's how they scale up for the actual station. And then these two pieces of wood here, you can see, will total the width of the first platform. Moving down of the station exit to the south of the station, that baseboard's had some work on over this last month, and just the next step is to weather the ballast. But I've been scratch building some of the buildings that are at Spalding and reflect the time period that I'm modelling, which, as for the layout itself, I'm modelling 2003 exactly, and that's the signal box at Windsor Road crossing, with the crossing and That building's still being painted. That's actually standing there on one side of it, and this is another one still waiting for the glass and the gardens to be finished, but needs glazing in the windows. I'm quite pleased with the way that they have turned out. And the crossing has been started being put in. The gates, I've halfway through building. They are like long barriers with like a skirt on them, which are very common on railway crossings today, and unfortunately there are no ready to run versions, so I'm having to resort to scratch building them. So thank you for joining me for this little introduction to the layout. I'll give you updates again soon as progress is made. Thank you.